I wore the last time? I don't know. We are live. That's what I do know. We are on YouTube. Hey, Amy, how's it going?
Hey, Shane, it's going good.
Oh man, listen, we are so unscripted, man. We are so unscripted. We're just talking about life, man. Talking about life,
Right.
wardrobe, all
For
kinds of
real.
things. All kinds
That
of things.
for
That's how we
real.
roll. That's
So,
how we roll.
so I'm curious, like it is so gray here. I know
hmm
you're in the South Carolinas. Is the sun out there yet?
No, no, no.
No, right?
It's supposed to rain again this afternoon here, which means it's
Oh, here
coming.
too.
It's coming your way. It's coming your
Yeah,
way.
it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. However, I will say it many times. I love the spring here.
Bring
I'm okay
on
with
the
it.
spring. Yeah,
I'm
for
okay
sure,
with it.
man. For
I
sure.
think I got a new pair of glasses, and I
Did
think
you?
our glasses are pretty
They
similar.
are similar. They're
I
similar.
like it.
I do too.
I
That's
like
it,
it.
man.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys, we're so cheesy.
We
I'm
are.
sorry.
We
You have
are.
to weed through the cheese to get to the. Hopefully, you're getting some meat. You're not
That's
just
it.
weeding through it with cheese.
That's right.
Shane, I'm really excited about today. So we have been talking about the ingredients to the formula of scale, right? So we did a series on the essentials of scale, and the very last essential is the essential of ascending, which I like the definition of that and the visual of it. It's more like a steady upward climb that's consistent versus these shot straight up and then you lose all momentum and you hit the ground and you shoot back up again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Been there, done that. It's
Start and
very
stop.
hard to sustain. Yeah, right. Start and stop. Very hard to sustain. So we have just found through our own failures, testing and successes and measuring those things that ascending is by far the best. There's challenge in it, there's satisfaction, and there's predictability, which we love. So one of the essentials, one of the ingredients to the essential of ascend, which another word is scale, I'm sure you guys have heard that in the marketplace, is money management. So this is the third ingredient of 5. So we've talked about conviction, we've talked about values, and now we are going to talk about money. That hard green paper cash, man. Money.
Or debit cards.
Yeah, that's right. Or credit cards.
Credit cards.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. And one book that we never grew up reading was Frankenstein. Did you ever read that book?
No, I never listen. Not only did I never read the book, I've never watched the movie. Like I've seen the funny
Really?
clip. No kidding.
Okay.
I've seen the clips, like wherever, but I've never like watched the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird.
Well, it's written by a woman named Mary Shelley. I
Okay.
almost called her Matthew.
Mary Matthew.
Mary Shelley. That's right. Mary Shelley. And this doctor takes like scraps of different things and puts them together. And then there is this wonder of a miracle, a monster. Right now, he's not a monster. He's this wonderful miracle of, wow, look at what I did. Production of something called Frankenstein. Okay. So just like Mary Shelley, just like the doctor in that story was able to figure out how to take all these scraps and pieces and put them together. That's a lot like what we do as owners, right? We take like a little bit of resources, we take our experience, we take some passion. We may or may not have a product. It might be a service, and we woosa it together. We whip it up, and now we have this beautiful concoction called a business, right?
Yeah, the word that comes to mind that I hear people throwing around is this term bootstrapping.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yes,
man,
yes.
I'm bootstrapping this thing. Like like it's some kind of cool term that describes. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and there is some honor in the fact that we're even willing to get out there and do it.
Heck yeah.
Because people that are very secure minded make great employees. And there has to be a element of risk that we're willing to take in order to really, get this creation up and going. Yeah. However, it's not soon after the creation is up and moving around that we realize it has to be fed.
Yeah.
And the feeding of it comes in the form of hardcore cookie cash, right? And we start to realize, gosh, there really is just not enough to keep this monster going. So it starts to spiral to things like I call time debt. You know, we're starting very early in the morning and we're working way past bedtime, right? We are working on the days that our family is off and having time together. We're having to work. All the reasons that we started a business to begin with, which was to be able to do what we want, when we want, how we want, where we want, with whom we want, is suddenly not the reality, because the Frankenstein monster needs its cookies and it's got to remain fed. Right.
Yep.
And sure. I know this from firsthand experience. I was, just living on my bank account, right? Like that was the accounting process, was what is the amount of money in the bank account? And that's how I was, making things happen. So in today's episode, it's really important that we understand that the people that are going to get the most value from this are the ones that are in this situation or have found themselves in this situation and aren't quite sure how to get out, right? I have been there personally and professionally in a business. And I know, Shane, you have experienced this kind of behavior and problem in a corporation, a real corporation. And I think that the one thing that I find was missing for me and has been missing for so many clients I've helped for all these years now is that they don't have an effective money management system. And I mean one that forces us to really change our mindset around money and the management of it, because traditionally we think I can just sell my way out of the struggle, right? Just sell more, sell faster, get money any way you can. But it truly is a trap. It is something called a crisis trap that a guy named Mike Michalowicz or Wicks, we're not quite sure. So here's the deal. If I am pronouncing that wrong, or Michalowicz or Wicks of Profit First, here's me talking about him, and you want to come on here and correct me, I would love that. Or just drop me the pronunciation in the comments. That would be awesome. But I love in his book, Profit First, which really, I don't know that it was a game changer for me, but it did force me into some new habits and ways of managing my money that I really like better. I'm seeing tremendous results and I really, really like it. You and I actually were introduced to this money management system around the same time by a client of ours. And we just picked up the book and started reading it. I started just walking out what it said in the book on my own. And yes, I have an accountant, and yes, I have a CPA, but I still am following this money management system organically for myself. And it's really been a game changer. And one thing that he talks about is that this survival trap. And he says there's a point A where really it's crisis. And one of the points, one of the arrows that comes off of the circle of crisis in his diagram is offering new products to make immediate revenue. And we see this as a major problem. And we were talking before the episode, and Shane, you reminded me of exactly how your one and only, I should say previous, your one and only employer for
20 years.
20 years. Some of the crucial things that they did specifically around multiple lanes of product offerings that just couldn't create enough cookie cash for the monster.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear that story.
Yeah. So it started off with a product that was in the right market at the right time, and we experienced accelerated growth. I mean, just explosive growth. But it wasn't by design; it was by default. Like it just happened. Timing played a part. Luck played a part. It was right product, right market, right time, and it just exploded. I remember sitting in a board meeting one time where the discussion was, guys, we're going to have so much money that we're not going to be able to spend it. Like that was said in a board meeting. We're going to have so much money, we're not going to be able to spend it. And that was where we fell into the trap. So there's this distinction in Profit First where it guides you away from the old model, which is sales minus expenses equals profit, right? Mm-hmm. That was the model we were working off of. We were like, hey, sales are trending at this level. Our expenses are trending here. If this keeps up, we're going to have so much money, we're not going to be able to spend it. So then that caused us to then go say, well, by golly, we could find somewhere to spend it. I mean, we could do some stuff. And so we began to then search for what's the next thing that we should do. So we went away from what was working in the spirit of, we got money to spend. It's like, all this money is here. Let's just start spending it to see if we can have greater impact. Now for us, impact was what mattered most. We wanted to impact great numbers of people. So we did a spinoff of product A to product B, and it worked some, but not to the degree product A did. It was deceptively enough successful that it cost us to say, if we did it once, we could do it again. And we created another spinoff, product C. And then the business flattened out, right? So we went from this explosive growth, this acceleration, to where we hit a plateau. And we thought, you know what, we could spend our way out of this. All we need, because we looked back at product A, product B, product C, and we saw this semblance of success attached to each one. And we say, you know what, if we could just get one more product and it would do this much profitability for us, then that would get us back on track. It would turn the curve. And we invested in product D and it fell flat. Well, then we started to scrambling. I'm looking back at my notes here, crisis to survival trap. We were in a crisis. We had plateaued and then we started to decline. You know what our answer was? Let's throw product E at it. That'll be the trick. So we were going into this cycle that Michael M. provides in his book. We were there, and it got to the place where we had to make a decision. We were either going to have to cut some significant expenses and all these product lines, or we were going to have to go out of business because it was no longer sustainable. We had spent our way into a hole because we didn't have a principle to guide us, like what you see in Michael's book, Profit First. So I'm a testimony. It does not work. You cannot spend your way out of the crisis. I don't care how, we had millions of dollars, and we spent our way into regressing back over 15 years worth of growth, all the way back to where we were 5 years in.
Well, and you know, it reminds me of what he says on page 25 of his book at the bottom. He said, sustained profitability depends on efficiency. You cannot become efficient in a crisis. Golly. And he goes on to say, right? He goes on to say, in crisis, we justify making money at any cost. That old adage, we have to spend money to make money.
Yes.
Right now, even if it means skipping taxes or selling our souls. Mike goes on to say, in crises, the survival trap becomes our modus operandi.
Yes.
Until our survival strategies create a new, more devastating crisis that scares us straight, or more commonly, scares us right out of business.
Yep. Yes. Boy, what good words. And we got scared straight. Thankfully, got scared straight.
Yeah.
And we didn't get into the position of, how was it described? You either sell your soul or something else.
You either sell yourself, you start skipping taxes, you start selling your soul.
Yeah. So thankfully,
or you just create a new crisis.
Exactly. So thankfully, we didn't do the first two. What we did was we created a new crisis. Like every time the product didn't work, we would go and invest in a new product, and it created another crisis. I'm telling you, I remember even sitting there having conversations around, if we put 500,000 into this thing right here, it's going to return X. And we put 500,000 in, you know how much it returned? Zero. Nothing. In fact, it cost us an additional 100.
Wow.
It's ridiculous what this does. When you get in that crisis mode, you lose all judgment. You lose all judgment, and risk becomes something that, is not even a word that you have in your vocabulary anymore. Desperation is what you really are in.
Yes.
And that you either get to the point where you're scared straight, or you just tank the whole thing and you got no other option other than to step out completely.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Painful either way.
Yeah. And I'm telling you that if we manage numbers like we see most entrepreneurs do, then what we do is we start with sales, which is the top line, and then we subtract the costs directly related to the delivery of the offering, the product or the service. Then we subtract all other costs we incur to run the business. So there's rent, utilities, marketing, technology, contractors, anyone, commission, sales. Then we pay taxes. Then and only then do we take our owner's distribution.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I love his system, which I'm not going to unpack for you. Number one, I don't have permission. And number two, I think you need to go buy this book, Profit First. But what he taught me to do was to set profit first, to first take out the profit and put it away for the business every single month. And then he taught me to pay myself. So I can tell you as of today, I have an account with profit in it. All of my taxes are paid directly from my revenue. I pay myself 50% of everything that's coming in, and all of my operations are covered. And so what I love about what he did is he took all of these categories we see on a cash flow sheet or a report that is generated by the accountant. And he just put them into just a few short categories. I mean, so short that I can manage them on my own pen and paper ledger, people. Okay. I do this, even though I have an accountant and they have some portal. And I'm just like, yeah, but does it add up to these categories? And so I really have been able to balance my income and my profit, and everything is taken care of. So the one thing I would tell you that Shane and I have found is that if you are going to have predictability in the business, you have to have a money management system that somebody has shown you how to manage. Not that you're outsourcing only to the accountant, but that you yourself have your hands in. So again, I would go, I would run, I would click, I would do whatever you want to do. Go get this book. I know that there are bookkeepers that are profit first bookkeepers. Yes. They also have a team of coaches, but it is it's a game changer. Yes. It is a game changer. And so I just encourage you to go. Remember that systems run the business, but we run the systems, even the money management systems. And the leaner they are, the easier they are to manage, and the more money we will make. So we will talk to you next week when we talk about the fourth ingredient to the essential